Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. It's game day, game three. Celtics, Golden State at the Garden. It seems like weeks in between games, and we are blessed to have a very special guest, our good friend, Mr. Julian Edlow from DraftKings today, where we can break down the game, go over some props, talk about what to expect today and Friday. If you watched the Breakfast Bankroll yesterday, you were gifted late in the show. Dave Sharapan throws out a soft lob to us and to me and goes, JD, what are you expecting in the Tampa Bay Lightning and Rangers game? And I threw out a 4-1 final, and he started laughing. I'm a savant when I throw out numbers like that. Then he reaches out, looks at FanDuel, and it's a 14-1 odds that you could bet the exact score. Well, wouldn't you know, the final score was 4-1. So anyone that watched the show yesterday that was able to get 14-1 on the exact score, God bless you. A few weeks back, our very own Mr. Julian Edlow gave us that in-game parlay of Jason Tatum over 29 and a hook in Celtics money line. Maybe he might have something up his sleeve today. But without further ado, let's bring him in. The one, the only Mr. Julian Edlow.
I wouldn't quite say my plus 180 two-leg same-game parlay is the same as hitting an exact hockey score, but I'll take my credit, I guess.
Well, don't forget you're selling yourself a little short because you did have the boost there. So anyone that was able to play it could get 2 plus 270 there, sir.
True, you could get I think probably about $50 worth of plus 270, and then if you wanted to play more, you're at plus 180. Not a bad payday. I don't think I have any more same game parlays today, but I'm looking into that game in terms of props still.
We come back to Boston 1-1. What I expected, I mean, if you want my honest truth, I thought Golden State would probably win game one and the Celtics would win game two. It happened the exact opposite. Before we dig deep into today's game, give me your initial thoughts over the first two games. Surprised, what you're disappointed in as a Celtic fan, what they need to improve on, and what you've seen basically in the first two games.
The first two games were surprisingly similar through three quarters. Tight first halves and all Golden State in the third quarter. Difference being the Celtics kept it manageable within 15 or within 12, whatever it was going into the fourth, and came out hot, Jaylen Brown, to start that fourth, and they dug deep and battled back. Game two, they let it get a little more out of control in the third quarter. Poole hits that half-court pull-up, and then they start the fourth quarter awful, letting Golden State go on another run, and then 2 minutes in, you pull the starters. So they're very similar games, just keeping it a little closer at the end of the third and then battling at the start of the fourth versus not being the difference in getting blown off the floor and having one of the best comebacks in NBA Finals history. From a Celtics standpoint, turnovers and not getting distracted by calls or non-calls are going to be the two main things throughout the series. Limit your turnovers and, don't battle with the refs. Udoka got his technical, he says, on purpose, to stand up for his guys. He'll take care of that. The players don't need to think about that. And, Draymond Green caught him a little off guard in game two, getting physical and whatnot. I think they'll be more prepared for that in a game three, and really in the series moving forward now that they've seen it and kind of been through it. So I think, emphasis on the third quarters in Boston, emphasis on the turnovers. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Tatum's poor shooting game in game one. I think he missed a lot of really good looks, and he showed in game two that he can make some good shots and make some really tough shots like he did. And now Tatum had those points. Al Horford and Marcus Smart revert and score 2 points each. I think coming home, guys like that will tend to bounce back. And we probably see another split in these Boston games. And Boston's coming off the loss, so I'm going to bet them. I'm going to play them in game 3. And, I'm going on Friday night. So I hope that means the Warriors bounce back win on Friday. That would stink. I can sell these tickets for a lot of money. I don't want to go and see a loss. So hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe it goes the other way. Maybe the Celtics can win both games. But the way things have been going, just the trends of the postseason, not just for the Celtics, but for the Warriors, who were 5-0 off a loss as well. Celtics game 3, Warriors game 4 would be the trend. But again, at some point that's going to break, because if you just keep going by the trend, this is going to go every other game with Celtics in 7. Maybe it does. It still could be Celtics in 7. At some point, we're not just going to keep alternating back and forth. Like, somebody's going to take control somewhere.
So many spots to piggyback off of there, Julian. We talked about Draymond Green. Let me start there. Do you think, my first instincts, that Marcus Smart takes matters into his own hands early tonight on Draymond Green?
I don't really care who covers him. Like, Draymond's not an issue. I don't care who guards him. It's his impact on the game. Like, on the offensive end, everybody wants to point to that clip where he was like just out in front blocking like a lead blocker for Curry on that play that he made a 3. It's, if you want Marcus Smart on Draymond, I would not do that. Put it that way. I'm not going to use Smart's defense on their worst offensive player. Now, what Smart could do is maybe get in the way and embellish the contact on one of those plays and get an offensive foul called on Green. But I think anybody on the Celtics is really capable of doing that, and that'll be in the game plan to kind of point out, like, all right, if the officials aren't going to call this, we will make a point to kind of embellish the contact here a little bit until they do. And I think, Draymond was kind of a loose cannon in game 2. I think the officials will be looking at that a little bit in this game. So maybe Draymond picks up 2 quick ones. Who knows? But yeah, I'm worried about, finding ways around Draymond on defense. Putting him on Jaylen Brown seemed to work really well. So maybe, finding a way to get Brown going, assuming they keep that matchup on Draymond, and finding ways to limit what Draymond's going to be doing on offense in terms of pushing people around. But offensive, like, you don't need to burn a good defender that should be hounding Steph Curry on Draymond Green. I'm actually looking at Draymond's under of 8.5 points in this game. He had 4 in game 1. He had 9 in game 2. So he went over by the hook. He took 7 free throws in that game and made 5 of them. Let me get his free throw percentage here, because I think that's a little high for him. He was 65% from the line. So 5 of 7 is a little above average. But the real point is just the attempts. That's the 3rd most he's taken this season. It's the most he's taken since November 10th in terms of free throws. He's not going to get to the line 7 times again. He went 0 for 3 from the line in game 1. He generally shoots a pair or so. He's 4 of 15 from the field in the series, 0 of 5 from 3. And I also think he has the potential to get in foul trouble in this game, just given how the last game went. So for prop wise, I think the first thing I'm looking at in this game is Draymond under 8.5 points. And I want to isolate it to the points, because I think the, rebounds, assists, he can always get there with those.
Game 1, Big Al, 6 for 8 from 3. Jaylen Brown had a day. Tatum, 13 points, but kind of sort of knew he couldn't throw it in the ocean.
I thought Tatum, people talk like good game, bad game. What was it from Tatum game 1? I think Tatum played a really, really good game. He just missed his shots. Like, if it was a bad 3 for 17, I would say maybe he played a bad game. He was missing wide open threes. He was missing good shots. It's unfortunate that he shot so terribly, but I think he played well. Just wanted to get that out.
And that's what Adoka said. And I will take that game in this regards. he realized he couldn't throw it in the ocean. Then he started a lot more assists. He was more engaged, more focused. Hey, it's not my day to shoot. Let's get Jalen going. Let's get, that game, Derek White, Pritchard. I mean, they couldn't miss in the fourth quarter. I still couldn't believe what I saw in that fourth quarter. And then game 2 was an exact opposite. Again, that third quarter, they let Curry get going again in the third. They let Clay get going in the third. And then the dagger was obviously pulled from three-quarter court. Little too far back. I think Golden State starts on an 8-0 run. Thanks for playing. Julian, I was at game 3 against Miami. I witnessed the 10-0, 15-2, down by 26. Obviously, we know Golden State has that kind of firepower to get out early, because that crowd is going to be absolute bedlam today. Bedlam. They get kicked in the you-know-what in the first 5 minutes, and we're back to where we were in game 3 against Miami. What can the Celtics do to negate that first 5 to 8 minutes against Showtime, if you want to call them Showtime?
Well, I think the main difference is that the Celtics were coming off a 25-point game 2 win against the Heat on the road. And this time around, they're coming off getting mopped. So I think they're going to come out. I know it sounds dumb in like these high stakes games, but I think they will have more urgency to start this one, versus the last time. Now, the other question is, we saw some nerves from them early in game 1. Tatum airballs a 3. It took them a while to get on the scoreboard. I don't know if maybe they start a little nervous in front of their own crowd now in a game 3 in this situation, whereas the Warriors have played plenty of road games. This might be the most hostile environment in terms of crowd and stuff that the Warriors have been in, honestly. If you compare it to, because 4 of those finals were Cleveland, 1 was Toronto. The Toronto atmosphere was pretty good in 2019. This is up there. This probably will be their toughest road atmosphere. So we'll see how that, I think that Draymond could get involved with the crowd, because we know the crowd's going to be on him after that game 2. They wouldn't have, like how things went in game 1. I think people, like, I don't want to say are Warriors fans, but like people in the Boston area like the Warriors, like they're a hot ticket the one time they come. I don't think they had any hostility until game 2. They're already selling can we swear on here?
Sure.
The Draymond's a bitch shirts are already printed up in green. They're being sold outside the building. So people are going to be wearing those, swinging those around. I think that Draymond can get involved with the crowd here, which could maybe start to work against him and the Warriors in some fashion. I'm pretty intrigued to see how this game starts, because it's, we're turning a new page with the series shifting to Boston. It's a new place that the Warriors haven't played a finals game, which is different. And there hasn't been a finals game in Boston in 12 years. So I'm interested to see how this game starts. I think that the Celtics do start with some urgency coming off that loss. I think they'll be leading at halftime, and I think they should win and cover the game. But again, I don't, the Celtics have been winning in the playoffs off a loss by like whatever it is, especially off a double-digit loss. I think they've been winning by over 16 points per game. I don't think it's going to get there because the Warriors are too good. I think they've finally hit a team that can hang with them and, stick in these tough spots. Like if this is a tough spot for the Warriors, I think they'll be able to hang around. Ultimately, I do think it's a Celtics spot though.
Initially, opening lines to where we are today on DraftKings, 9:00 tip. Actually, probably be around 9:15 to be honest with you. Celtics -3.5, -110, and over under of 212. Celtics money line -150, which is a tick down from overnight. Warriors +130. The actual opening number, Vegas gives us this story of Celtics 108, Golden State 104. You talked about Celtics first half. Give us some leans initially where you're looking at before we dig into maybe a prop or two as well.
Yeah, and the interesting thing on first half, the Celtics are -2.5 first half on DK Sportsbook, which is a tick up, maybe a half point up. It should be 2, I guess. So they're putting a little bit extra there. The money line, I think, is interesting. The Celtics are -155 for the game now, which has come down a little bit. They're -160 money line on the first half. So heavier first half money lines despite the point differential. In terms of, I guess, the total, I would lean under. It feels like an under series, and game one went over because of ridiculous shot making on both sides. And then game two starts off 61 point first quarter, like we're going to go over again. And then it goes well under. I think we've kind of settled into what this is going to be, and it feels like an under series. The number got really high in game one, and funny enough, it goes over when it's juiced up the most at 214.5, and now we're down a couple points, probably settling into right around where it should be, but it probably should be more 211.5, 210.5. So lean under on that total. Just two good defensive teams, and yeah, I'm not going to play anything on the total. I'm going to be on some Celtics first half and some Celtics full game. I am going to play the Draymond prop that I brought up earlier, just the under on the points, and I'm kind of combing through the rest now, but we can kind of do that on the fly if we want to talk props.
Sure.
So I think the two guys I'm looking at, the point totals are a little high for me, but so Smart and Horford both scored 2 points in game two. You come home off those bad games, they should kind of revert back to who they are. So Smart's 13.5, Horford's 11.5. That's right around where they should be. One of those guys is going over for sure. If you want to play them both and split at worst and hope to get them both, I probably like Horford, I would say, the most. Just because I think he has the better matchup. It's interesting how Golden State played him in game two. They essentially went to Klay Thompson on him and gave him the size advantage, knowing that the Celtics aren't going to just post up Horford every play. They played him as a perimeter player, and because he was a perimeter player in game one, he went 6 of 8 from 3, and they stopped that. Horford didn't even take a shot until the second half. So I'm interested to see how they play him, but I think in general, coming home and seeing the tape of how Horford was played in game two and saying they're going to put a smaller guy on you and you're not even going to shoot in the first half, I think they need to figure out a way around that. So I would say Horford and Smart should both bounce back, but Horford will be my guy there. So as I'm thinking, and I know we talked the same game parlay last time, a Celtics win. I should open up same game parlay first, but a Celtics win with Horford and Smart to both score under lower numbers than their actual prop would kind of make sense to me, to probably get you to some plus money, or definitely get you to some plus money. Thoughts? Do you like anything prop wise while I punch this in and see where we can get?
I like where your head is. I really, the good game, bad game. I would lean. I like Horford on a bounce back, and you know who I think sneaky, and he's been real good at home, has been Derek White. Mm-hmm. Now, he was very quiet in game two as well. I think you're not going to get it's either going to be Tatum or Brown. We haven't seen a lot of, Tatum and Brown, together. So we try to, thread the needle, as we like to say here. And I like Horford on the bounce back. I think Derek White is sneaky in that aspect of it. It's kind of funny if you go back to and I'm just looking at your props right now, Tatum plus 20 points in the first half, you can get plus 450. Now go back to the bounce back where I think he had 24 in the first half.
Yeah.
So
the difference is he had, I know it's off a loss, and he's been really good off a loss scoring. The difference is he only had 10 points in that loss. So it was kind of a get right spot for him scoring wise, just like game two was a get right spot for him scoring wise. So I'm not fully confident that it's going to be all Tatum aggressive early scoring in this game. It definitely could be. It's not to say it isn't, It's just all the pieces for that bounce back spot that were there game 4 against the Heat aren't all there, but a few of them are.
Yeah, and then the Jaylen Brown first half was 15 points at a plus 270. And again, I'm piggybacking off of your thought process and what the numbers are saying, that they're kind of sort of expecting the Celtics to win the first half, to get out to feed off of that crowd. Might get a couple calls early just to say, hey, whatever you guys were thinking, it's not the refs. You know what I mean?
Yep, I hear you. There. I told you that I only give them out when I believe in them.
Correct.
I'm scrolling through same game parlay stuff now.
Okay.
There will not be one from me tonight. The pieces aren't there. Horford points only go down to as low as 10. Saves you 2 off his over under. I don't mind like a Celtics win and Horford to score 10. That's probably what I would do if you were going to do it. Smart only goes down to 12, and Draymond you can only play points above. You can't play unders in the same game parlay on Draymond. So I'm out on the same game parlay tonight. When it's there, I'll give it to you.
We know you're going to be at the game on Friday. Then travel day, they go back to Golden State on Sunday. We're under the assumption it goes back there 2-2, so it'll be 3-2 before we hopefully see you next week. We got a couple minutes left here. We talked about a month ago, NFL. You guys have a million stuff already up there. I know we're real early in the season. I don't want to talk about Deshaun Watson because I think this thing is just getting sick and sicker.
Yeah.
And I heard today, which was kind of ironic, I want to say, if he only loses $1 million the first year, they had the contract set up that way. So it's almost like Cleveland was expecting this, where even though he sat out last year and got paid, he's probably going to miss most of this season this year, and he's only going to lose a million in the pocket. But go to your early homework. Are you seeing any edges, any values? Have you popped any NFL over-unders? Have you got any futures going? Have you seen anything that looks just a little out of kilter right now?
Yeah. So let me open up football and see where things currently stand. The two things that I've bet, and I haven't put anything out yet because they were kind of just quick things that I put in. I bet the Cardinals under 9 wins on the Hopkins news. I think they're 8.5 now, I want to say. So there's not much left there. I do have Colts over 9.5 wins and Colts to win the division. Did we talk about that one on here?
You talked about division at about even money about a month ago, 6 weeks ago.
It's getting pricey. The 9.5 is minus 140. That's probably as far as I would go. Let me see what the division is at. The division was even money. The division's up to minus 125, which is fair. That's about as far as I would go, but I would play the Colts division. I just think you can immediately rule 2 teams out in the Jags and Texans, and the Titans should take a step back. They lost both their top receivers. It's all Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill is going to regress. We saw who he is in the postseason. He's nothing special. I just don't see it for Tennessee, whereas with Indy, they add pieces on both sides of the ball, and you swap out a mess in Carson Wentz for a solid pro in Matt Ryan. I think the Colts get there in that division pretty. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to say easily, but like that should be the Colts division. That's my favorite play on the board future wise for NFL. Although I will say, I did the Chicken Dinner podcast with Sammy P earlier this week, and he brought up the AFC East, and we all think it's going to be the Bills, but what happens after, where Miami and New England are priced pretty similarly? I think it's a pretty easy call to say that Miami's the second best team in the division. You can bet Miami to finish second at plus 175 on DK Sportsbook. You can bet the exact result of the division. I think if there's one division to pick an exact result, this one might be the one. At plus 240, you can just go Bills, Dolphins, Pats, Jets. That's maybe getting a little fancy. If you want one bet, I would stick to the plus 175 on second place for the Dolphins. But I think the Bills clearly win the division. Like that, a lot of people that 11.5 over is really juiced on Buffalo. So I think it's pretty clear they're the best team. But the Patriots coming off 10-7, they kind of just mopped up on bad teams in that middle stretch. Lost to all the good teams at the beginning and end of the season. We saw who they are in the playoffs. I'm fine with Mac Jones, but not many improvements overall. Lost a lot of defensive pieces. And the coaching just seems ridiculous. They're putting people in position to fail and doing jobs they haven't done before. It's just like, it's like another company coming to me and being like, hey, we want you to be our lead baseball writer. And I'm like, well, I know football and basketball. Why would you want to do that? That's what the Patriots are doing, putting people in roles that they haven't been in. Whereas in Miami, you've got Tua in like a make or break year, kind of. I don't think he's as bad. He's not great, but he's not as bad as everybody makes him out to be. And he can stay healthy this year. And he's got an upgraded offensive line. And he's got two guys that you don't need the biggest arm in the world, like Mahomes, to get the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You can bomb it to them, or you can just hit them with screen passes and they're going to run and get yards. I think it's pretty clear. I haven't invested in it yet, but I think it's pretty clear the Dolphins are the second team in that division, a step ahead of the Patriots. So I don't know if that's a win total over, a plus 175 second place. I wish there was just kind of like a head-to-head bet who does better between the Patriots and Dolphins. Maybe I don't know. They make markets for me sometimes. Maybe I'll ask about it. But yeah, that's my other developing football take, I guess. I'm not all the way there on NFL. And I'm getting there on college football. Big college football guy. I'm getting there. I'm starting to look into that, get some plays in.
Well, we're going to make sure that we don't hang you out to dry once this NBA series is over. Don't think that, East Coast Sports isn't going to be knocking on your door here for some college and NFL here.
When NBA is done, I'm going to get into I'm on vacation next week. I booked it in January when the Celtics were never going to be here. And here we are, but I'm local. So I'm going to be still putting out the splits. I'm going to put out bets on the games. If there's a game 6, I will be New England. So I'll swing back for it. But I'm on vacation next week. I'll have NBA content this week. I'll have NBA draft content the following week because I love betting drafts. Not as great as the NFL draft. The NFL draft is king in sports betting, but NBA is pretty good. And then after that, it's going to be 2 months of just football prep, college and NFL. So we'll have plenty there.
I have to throw these two things out here. Our good buddy, Mr. Kiefer Bagwell, he goes, I can't believe how hype I just got for Edlow's same game parlay after the last one smacked. The lead up was crazy, LOL. And then he throws out a Tennessee Vols over 7.5. Book it there.
Tennessee Vols. Okay. They are supposed to be decent this year.
I
saw that Alabama is only minus 6.5 at Tennessee, which means they're pretty good.
And only 12 on a neutral against Texas opening day, which was kind of surprising. I heard that was going to be up to near 17. I'm going to close with this. You were talking about the Patriots. My take is the coaching staff, the Matt Patricias, the Gazes of the world, aren't they still all being paid by other teams? It's like, hey, we'll take the freebies back. We'll just, Bill's always playing checkers while everyone's playing chess. And he just plug and plays. And I've never seen a football team where no one's got a title. I mean, this is absolutely, it's almost like Bill is starting the senile route. Like, this makes no sense at all. None.
It's dumb. He loves to get those guys that are being paid by somebody else that he can have. And he's bringing back his own guys. Like McDaniels is gone. Patricia's here. Judge is here. guys that failed miserably elsewhere, and he's bringing them back, but he's putting them in roles that they haven't been in. There is no offensive coordinator. There is no defensive coordinator, right? That's still the case. You know, I don't know. We'll see how it works. It looks like he's trying to show his genius, and I just don't think it's going to work, especially when the talent level isn't as high as it generally is on the team. Yeah, I feel pretty confident that the Patriots are going to be, let's put it this way. I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I think the Patriots will be closer to the Jets in the standings than they are the Dolphins.
You just took my thunder. You just absolutely stole my thunder, because when you were going down the exact AFC East,
you're worried about placing that because you think the Jets could be third?
I think the Jets will be third.
Will be third. Okay, wow. All right, well, that's a hot, I didn't steal your thunder too much. That's a hotter take than mine. I would still put the Patriots third.
But you stole my closing verbatim, because I was going to say the exact same thing. I think they'll be closer to the Jets than they are the Dolphins.
All right, let me leave you with this then. Let's see. This would be division specials. There are so many NFL tabs on DraftKings Sportsbook. If you want to bet on the NFL, it's all there. Go ahead and look. Division finishing position. If you want to bet the Patriots just by themselves to finish dead last, that's plus 450. If you wanted to go exact order, boy, this one's going to be hard to dig up. Exact order: Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots. That's what you like, right?
Yep.
Plus 2,000. I'm pretty confident Bills, Dolphins is the top two. So that just flipping the Patriots and Jets gets you quite a payout.
Guys,
I would take that plus 2,000 over the plus 450 of the Pats finishing last, because if the Pats finish last, I don't think the Jets can get better than third, and then Buffalo, Miami, that feels pretty good.
And I think I saw out there, you can get actually plus money on the Pats making the playoffs this year. They aren't expected to make the playoffs this year at one of the books out in Vegas. So everyone watching and listening, I know it's going to be a long, long time till you cash this one. But if you have a DK book, okay, plus 2,000, Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Pats. A little beer and pizza money, as we like to say here at ECSI.
Yeah.
Couple shillings.
Yeah. I think when it comes down to it, the Patriots are going to be above the Jets. But for plus 2,000, if we're talking like a quarter unit or less, even 0.1 wins you 2 units. So yeah, like 0.2 for 4 units on that, I'm in.
Julian Edlow, at Julian Edlow, at DraftKings Sportsbook, at DK Live, at Unreasonable Odd Podcast. Obviously, we can't thank you enough. A, we want you to enjoy the game tonight. B, we want you to enjoy, obviously, Friday. Bring a win to the Garden. I'm 0-2. I can't cross either Sagamore or Bournebridge.
Yeah, stay away.
And lastly, enjoy your vacation. Have a blast. We can't thank you enough, my friend.
All right. Anytime. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
All right. Have a great day, sir.
You too.
The one and only Julian Edlow from DraftKings. Not entering the building today where I am right now, but we'll be there Friday. Gave out some nice props. Cards under 9 if you can get it in the NFL. Colts over 9.5. A little juicy right now on DK at minus 140. Colts minus 125 to win the division. He likes the Dolphins to finish second for plus 175. You can get the Patriots to finish last at 450. And as what I added was Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots plus 2,000 there. I did make a statement as we started to break down the game. The initial take on the Celtics Golden State tonight was 108-104. That's what Vegas is telling us right now. We're going to be monitoring that game as we speak throughout the day. So from ECSI, we can't thank all the listeners. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Without you, there's no ECSI. If you're not following us on Twitter at EC Sports Invest, or even on our YouTube channel or Twitch channel, it's at East Coast Sports Investors. If you could just do us a small favor, run on over there, hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, tell a friend, tell a neighbor if they want to listen. So with that, 1 o'clock, Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk at McGinnis Picks. We are going to debut the Canadian Football League. And of course, we're going to be talking pucks, props, and NHL playoffs as the Avs sit and wait. And as the Lightning tied up the Rangers 4-1 last night. Someone gave you the exact, I'm not going to say who yesterday, at plus 14-1. But if you haven't seen that, go to my timeline. It's right up there. So, guys, let's have a day. Let's be positive. And I hope to see everyone here back at 1 o'clock. See you soon.